Welcome back to Investing Talk Podcast.
Yeah.
Today, we're going to zoom in on Transcode Therapeutics,
Okay.
RNAZ. Now, you sent us some really interesting information about this company covering their recent stock activity, and kind of what they've been up to.
Right.
And so let's unpack what's really going on here. What
Yeah.
did you bring for us?
Well, the material you shared includes a company overview,
Huh.
some technical charts, and a recent stock analysis. What really stands out is this clinical stage oncology company
Okay.
is focused on RNA therapies for metastatic cancer.
Okay.
And they've seen some significant movement and have some really compelling developments.
Okay, so our goal today is to kind of cut through the noise
Yeah.
and figure out what the most important pieces of this puzzle are, and hopefully help you listening out there understand both the recent buzz and what the future might hold for Transcode Therapeutics.
Yeah. So with all this information, what grabbed your attention first?
Well, I mean, right off the bat, the recent jump in the stock price and the high volatility are hard to ignore.
It is hard to ignore.
We saw a significant 45.45% increase to $1.12 on March 21st, 2025.
Wow.
That kind of single-day surge isn't something you see every day.
Not every day, no.
So almost a 50% leap in one day.
What fueled that kind of rocket shot?
Well, it likely reflects a combination of factors.
Okay.
The positive safety data coming out of their clinical trial probably instilled some investor confidence, and there's likely an element of speculation. As they move to the next phase of testing, this kind of explosive upward movement, while exciting, often comes with a significant risk of equally sharp drops.
Right.
The analysis also pointed to a day recently where the stock's price swung by over 93%
Whoa.
between its low and high points. That extreme fluctuation tells you a lot
Yeah.
about the speculative nature of this stock right now.
And it wasn't just, a few shares changing hands, right?
No.
The reports mention really substantial trading volume
Yeah.
alongside that price spike.
Precisely. High volume accompanying a price increase
Mm-hmm.
can suggest strong conviction among investors, at least in the short term.
More people are buying and they're doing so with more shares, but it's crucial to keep that high short-term volatility in mind as a defining characteristic here.
Okay, so a massive price jump
Yeah.
with a lot of trading activity paints a picture of significant short-term interest. But to really understand what's driving this, we need to step back and look at the fundamentals. Who exactly is Transcode Therapeutics, and what makes them tick?
Transcode Therapeutics is a company focused on developing new ways to treat cancer that has spread using RNA-based therapies.
Okay.
Think of RNA therapeutics as a way to instruct cells to fight the cancer from within. They're not just any biotech firm. They're specifically targeting metastatic cancer, which is often the most challenging form of the disease to treat.
And they have a particular method or technology they're using for this, don't they? Something about nanoparticles?
That's right. Their proprietary TTX nanoparticle platform is central to their strategy. Imagine these nanoparticles as tiny, very precise delivery trucks designed to carry their RNA therapies directly to the cancer cells, minimizing impact on healthy tissues.
Interesting.
Their lead candidate, TTX MC138, is designed to target something called microRNA 10B.
MicroRNA 10B, that sounds pretty technical. What's the significance of that in the context of cancer?
Think of microRNA 10B like a switch
Okay.
that cancer cells can flip
Yeah,
to help them spread to other parts of the body. That's metastasis.
gotcha.
By targeting and inhibiting this specific microRNA. TTX MC138 aims to essentially jam that switch, preventing or slowing down the cancer's ability to spread.
Interesting.
And it's important to remember, as the overview stated, that this is a clinical stage company.
Which, as we know, means they're still in the process of proving their therapies are safe and effective in humans.
Right.
High potential, but also significant hurdles ahead. Speaking of those hurdles, the information you shared mentioned some progress in their clinical trials. That sounds like a key indicator of their potential.
It is a critical indicator. The Safety Review Committee recently gave the green light to move to the next group of patients, the third cohort,
Okay.
in their phase 1 clinical trial for TTX MC138. This is a significant step forward in the very long and complex process of bringing a new drug to market.
That must be a shot in the arm.
Mm-hmm.
For the company and those watching it, were there any details about how the trials have been going up to this point?
The reports highlighted favorable safety data in the second cohort.
Right.
They didn't see any significant toxicities reported, which is a very encouraging sign in these early stages.
Okay.
Advancing through these clinical trial phases is a major milestone for any biotech because it suggests that the treatment is, at least initially, safe enough to keep testing in more patients.
Okay, now let's talk about the financial side of things. Biotech companies often have interesting financial strategies. And there were a couple mentioned here. A reverse stock split and raising capital through a private placement.
Right.
Can you break down what those mean?
Certainly. First, back in December of 2024, the company implemented a 1-for-33 reverse stock split.
Okay.
What this essentially does is reduce the total number of outstanding shares and proportionally increase the price of each remaining share.
Okay.
So if you owned 33 shares before, you now owned one, but the price of that one share was 33 times higher.
Gotcha.
Companies often do this to meet the minimum share price requirements
Okay.
set by exchanges like the Nasdaq. If a stock price drops too low, a reverse split can bring it back up to the required level.
Okay, so fewer slices in the pie, but the same overall pie value, at least on paper.
Exactly.
And then they also brought in some new funding.
Through a private placement.
Yes, they recently completed an $8 million private placement with institutional investors. They sold new shares directly to these investors at a price of 37.7 cents per share, and also issued warrants, which are essentially options, that give the investors the right to buy more shares in the future at a set price of 47.5 cents. And what's the intended use for this new capital?
The company indicated that the funds are for general corporate purposes and working capital.
Okay.
This is pretty standard language, meaning the money will likely go towards funding their ongoing research and development efforts, covering operational costs, and potentially preparing for later-stage clinical trials. However, it's worth noting that the price at which these new shares were sold to institutional investors, 37.7 cents, was significantly lower than the recent market price we saw of $1.12.
That's pretty substantial discount. Does that have any implications for those who already own shares?
It certainly can. Selling new shares at a lower price can sometimes dilute the value of existing shares.
How so?
It essentially means there are more shares outstanding, each representing a slightly smaller piece of the company.
Okay.
Also, the fact that institutional investors were able to buy in at such a lower price might create some downward pressure on the stock if they decide to sell their shares for a profit down the line.
Interesting. Okay, now switching gears again. The information you provided also included some technical analysis.
Right.
Looking at the stock's trading patterns, what did those charts and indicators suggest?
The technical analysis presents a bit of a mixed outlook.
Okay.
In the short term, some indicators, like short-term moving averages, are suggesting a buy signal. This indicates some positive momentum in the very recent trading activity. However, when you look at longer-term moving averages, they're still indicating a sell signal, suggesting that the overall trend over a broader period might still be downward. This difference really highlights that uncertainty we've been discussing.
So some optimism in the very short term.
Okay.
But longer-term caution flags are still up. What else did the technical analysis point out as potentially significant?
There's a level of accumulated trading volume identified around the 74.2 cent price point.
Okay.
This could potentially act as a support level for the stock.
Yeah.
If the price were to fall back to that area, it might attract buyers who see value there. Additionally, that recent significant price surge we talked about might have pushed the Relative Strength Index, or RSI, into what's considered overbought territory.
Overbought meaning the price might have run up too quickly and could be due for a breather.
That's the general idea. When a stock's RSI is in overbought territory, it can suggest that the buying momentum might be exhausted and that the price could be due for a correction or a period of consolidation.
Gotcha.
The short-term forecast in the analysis seems to echo this possibility.
How so? What were they predicting for the stock's movement in the near future?
The analysis you shared suggests an approximate 18.07% decrease in the stock price over the next 3 months. However, and this is a really important caveat, the predicted range is extremely wide, stretching from a low of 41.2 cents all the way up to a high of $8.75.
Wow.
This massive range really emphasizes just how much uncertainty and volatility is surrounding this particular stock right now.
That's a huge range, given all these technical signals. The short term, buy; the long term, sell the support level. The overbought potential, and that massive price prediction range. What was the overall recommendation for the technical analysis?
The recommendation was to maintain a hold position for now. The advice was to closely monitor how the stock price behaves and to keep a close eye on those RSI levels for indications of whether it truly is overbought and due for a pullback.
So, bringing it all together, based on everything we've discussed, the stock surge, the technology, the clinical progress, the financial moves, and the technical outlook. How would you characterize Transcode Therapeutics right now, from an investment perspective for someone listening in?
Based on this information, RNAZ appears to be a high-risk, high-reward investment opportunity.
Oh,
The significant price swings we've seen are a clear indicator of the inherent risks involved. However, they're focused on developing novel RNA therapies for a challenging disease like metastatic cancer means there's a real potential for substantial gains if their clinical trials prove successful and their treatments make it to market. This makes it a potentially interesting, though speculative, investment for those with a higher tolerance for risk who are specifically interested in the biotech sector.
but it's definitely not a sure thing, is it?
Absolutely not.
There are plenty of reasons for caution.
The negative signals we're still seeing, from the longer-term technical indicators, along with the very real possibility of further price declines, even from what might seem like oversold conditions, should certainly give investors pause. It's a situation where you need to be aware of and comfortable with the potential downsides.
So considering the information you've provided, we're looking at a company with some very interesting science in a high-stakes area, experiencing significant stock volatility, alongside some potentially crucial advancements in their clinical trials, and some notable financial activities.
The contrasting signals from those short-term and long-term technical views, combined with that incredibly wide range in the price prediction, truly highlights just how much of a speculative play Transcode Therapeutics is at this particular moment.
This situation really poses a key question. For you as you follow this story, how did these developments align with your individual comfort level with risk? And your overall strategy for investing in the biotech space? There's a lot to digest. As the company continues to navigate its clinical trial process, we hope this breakdown has provided you with a clearer understanding of the key aspects of the information you shared with us. Please subscribe, like, and comment to let us know what other areas you'd like us to explore in our next session.